Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, or welcome if this is your first time here. My name is Dana. I am a second generation homeschool mama with 4 little ones. This fall, it's so hard to believe it, but I'm going to be having a 4th grader, a 3rd grader, a pre-K / kindergartner, and then my youngest will be 3 years old. Today, I thought it'd be really fun to sit down and chat with you guys about really the top 5 ways that I kind of like thinking about and going about choosing homeschool curriculum. So our family is a very light version of homeschooling year-round. I've mentioned in previous videos that our kind of spring months and early summer months are very busy with work. We travel together as a family for different work projects, and because of that, I've kind of naturally adopted the whole homeschooling year-round philosophy. This really takes the pressure and the guilt off of me from not completing all of the assignments and all the curriculum within a set calendar year. And I think most importantly is it takes the pressure off of my little ones, and we're not feeling stressed because we're not meeting different times, we're not meeting different requirements as far as when we should complete them. With all that being said, when I say a light version of homeschooling year-round, we still do probably a solid, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks, so almost a solid month of a summer break. Normally our month off is July. That's one of our family's favorite months. We all love the 4th of July. That's when you either go camping, vacation, things like that. So our family really loves July. So that's the solid month that we will take off. And this also gives me time to refocus, kind of renew my own heart as we prepare for the upcoming year. Anyway, with all that being said, as you can tell from the title, today I wanted to chat with you guys really about the top 5 ways that I love thinking about and processing choosing our homeschool curriculum. So the first thing that I did this year when it came to planning for our homeschool curriculum, and this is something that I wish I had done in previous years, but I always forget about it when I'm caught up in the dreamland, like planning for different curriculums and things like that. But the first thing would be choosing for the year that we actually have ahead of us, not for the season that I am in right now, because that's when I can get caught up in that kind of fantasy, wish I could be that type homeschool mom mentality. Because as I mentioned, when it came to my homeschooling year round, our first semester, so that fall semester, is our slowest season. And if I base our entire year off of what I can do then, because in that slow season, I'm able to do all the enrichment things, all those beautiful little things. But I do know when second semester comes, and especially once February, March comes, I'm gonna have to drop half of it. So this year, when I was planning curriculum, especially before I bought anything, so I didn't want to buy anything just to have to find something else when it got busy. Really thinking intentionally about what does a year look like ahead for our family. And then when I am looking at the curriculum, once I have everything written out by subject as far as what we're getting, what we're putting on our shelf and things like that, is asking myself the question, is this going to work when life gets full and when life gets busy? Like, are we still going to maintain this structure and maintain the philosophies and like all those things, but really planning for the curriculum for what your whole year will look like. So if you do have any big changes coming, if you're welcoming a new baby, or if you have a busy season, or maybe your husband is self-employed and he has a different time of the year where it's just super busy, to really look a whole year out and see, you know, what life is going to be. And you know, there's also something I want to mention as well. There's always going to be the unexpected, right? So we cannot plan for the unexpected. We cannot plan for, you know, what happens if like life does throw us some difficulties, or what happens when challenges come. Those aren't really the challenges I can plan for or prep for. It's really the things that are known, like things that I know, like I mentioned, are spring and summer being really busy. So really planning for the year that we have ahead. That way, when that time comes, it's not overwhelming and I don't feel like I'm failing. So the second thing that I did when it came to planning our homeschool year is to remind myself why I chose, or why I am choosing certain curriculums to begin with. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's really easy to get caught up, and I still do this even though I have our homeschool year semi-planned. I still do it though. I was watching curriculum pick videos because homeschool mom inside of me I love, and I will always watch curriculum pick videos. Is thinking every single time I come across one of those videos that I would just, oh, this one would be beautiful, this would be so enriching, this would just add a lot to our homeschool and things like that. But something that I have done differently this year is I know there's certain curriculums in our home that just work beautifully, and they might not be fancy and they might not have all of the little things, but they just work beautifully. and I love them. And my kids have succeeded very, very well with them, and they're just growing leaps and bounds and using like different curriculums and things like that. And sometimes when I'm watching all the curriculum pick videos, it can be really easy to get caught up in like wanting something new and different and shiny. And while there's nothing wrong with wanting something new, sometimes I have to remind myself why I choose things to begin with. So something that I've actually done differently this year is going back and watching other mamas make videos on specifically why they like a certain curriculum. So for example, like the Christian Light Education program. That's a program that just works beautifully for our family in this season of life. And so if I'm getting caught up in wanting something new or something different or to try something out, even though something's working well, sometimes I'll go watch another mama just highlight and talk so highly of the Christian Light Education program. And sometimes that is enough to renew my own mind. Like, this is why I love it too. This is why it works well too. And so whenever I fall into, I just want to try something new for the sake of trying it new, one of my favorite channels to go to, especially when it comes to Christian Light Education, is Wendy's channel over at Plan Prep Pray. I love her. I will have her channel linked down below if you're wanting some encouragement, especially about Christian Light Education, how to use the program, the beauty of it, why she loves it. She's used it, I want to say she said she's used it for like 10 years, something like that. So she's actually one of the first mamas I saw here on YouTube use the program, and that's kind of why I started using it to begin with, was because of her and a couple of other mamas here on YouTube that use it as well. But what I ended up doing this year is she made a lot of Christian Light Education content here the past few months. And every time she posted, I would watch it and be like, this is the exact same heart that I have with using it, the same reasons. And then it kind of solidifies my belief and like, this really is what works best for our family. I need to like drop all the other ideas and not do that. So sometimes if you're struggling with just wanting something new and wanting something different, even though again, there's nothing wrong with that, sometimes it helps us to, if something is working, to go watch someone else talk about how it's also working for them. And it really does help you solidify like, okay, this is where our family does need to be. And I'm not getting caught up on what's new and shiny. This is really what we're doing, and it's working great. So the third thing that I did, and this is something that I have done in previous years when it comes to planning for the curriculum, and this is one that I'm a firm believer in, and that is choosing the curriculum for the mothers that we are right now. Not the mothers that we wish we were, not the homeschool moms we wish we could become. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having dreams, goals, aspirations of who we want to be and who we would like to become. And I think that if you set those goals and you can do the small steps to implement them and help you achieve that either different method you want to try or different routine or anything like that, there's nothing wrong with setting those goals and wanting to try to do those things. But really planning around the curriculum for who we are as a person even, and as a mama, and as a homeschool teacher, like what our style is for our children. And this is a big one for me, and something that I do actively try to do every single year is I know I'm not going to choose a curriculum that is heavy activity based or heavy craft based or heavy manipulative based. I just can't right now in the season of life. And I also feel like if I had all those heavy manipulative activity-based curriculums for all of my kiddos, I would never get anything else done. And so I've talked a lot about on my channel on how we have to choose different priorities in our home. And I could do all the activity-based homeschool, but I would have to drop like all the other things as far as our home atmosphere, like creating the atmosphere in our home. And so really dropping all the busyness, all the extra activities, just doing a very minimal homeschool so our atmosphere can be built up and be peaceful and enjoyable is really important to me. And I know it would just stress me out if I had 20 different craft projects and activities to do when it comes to planning for a year. And so I know I'm not that mom. However, I do know some incredible mamas that are very wonderful at doing all the activities and all the art projects. That's just not my personality. And so instead of wishing it was and getting all the curriculum that has that and then not being able to complete it or feeling like, again, I'm failing, it's easier for me just to not choose curriculum to begin with that is very, very teacher intensive when it comes to homeschooling. So the next point here really flows beautifully because it's all about an atmosphere, creating what we want our atmosphere to be. And the reason why I'm not necessarily choosing all the hands-on manipulative negative, the homeschool mom, I wish it could be curriculum, is because it would take away from the atmosphere, which to me is the primary goal of homeschooling, is really being able to create just that. It's your home. It's the heart of your home, right? And I feel like if I am stressed out trying to accomplish all the little manipulative things and all the games and activities, it would just completely take away from the vision that I really am trying to accomplish in our home, whether that be slow living in the morning, giving my children just hours of free space and time to explore and play during the day, using their imaginations. And if I fill our days full of all these busy little curriculums and busy work and enrichment thing after enrichment thing, even though all those things are lovely and beautiful, it would just take away from the atmosphere of really letting them live slowly and giving them space and time for wonder, which is my primary goal when it comes to homeschooling, is really giving them the freedom and the flexibility to still be little and to still be children and to play for hours and hours a day and not be bogged down by the massive to-do list and accomplishing all the different curriculums and things like that. So again, really finding things that is going to contribute to that atmosphere in our home is a huge priority of mine when it does come to choosing curriculums. Another thing I wanted to say about curriculums as well is curriculum is not just about what we are teaching. It really does shape how our days feel and ultimately how we feel as well. So when I am choosing curriculum and when it comes to how that corresponds to our atmosphere in our home, it's like, is this going to create more peace in our home, or is it going to add more chaos? Is this going to be stressful and kind of like burdensome, or is this going to be adding that lighthearted atmosphere that we need in our home? And it's also one of those things as well, beyond atmosphere when it comes to curriculum, is this going to be sound and thorough, or is this going to make us feel even more behind, which then will lead to chaos and guilt and all those things. So there's all those little facets that go into choosing a curriculum based off of what we want our atmosphere to be. So something I definitely encourage you guys to do, and something that I try to do every single year that really helps me when it comes to choosing curriculum based off of what I want our atmosphere to look like, is first and foremost, do take it to the Lord in prayer. Ask Him to direct you. I know we are called to do this in every single aspect in life, but especially homeschooling, because He is giving us these beautiful children to steward and to love and care for, and to most importantly teach, and to teach them in the ways of the Lord. So don't forget to seek God first when it comes to planning for your homeschool year, and really asking Him, how to help you achieve those goals of that either peaceful atmosphere if you want to do slow living. And then it's also the realization that in order to accomplish a said atmosphere, it might mean saying no, or weekends, or to different activities, extracurriculars, just anything that takes us away from that atmosphere. And I feel like unless we have that goal written down of what we want our home to look like, or really what we want our vision to be for our home, it's really easy to say yes to all the things when we lose sight of our vision. However, when we do have our vision in front of us and we're reminded of it, whether it be reminded of why we do family dinners every night, or that slow living in the morning, it's easy to say no to things, because we can say, well, this is not going to contribute to what we want our life to be, so no thank you. It's really easy to get caught up in doing all the things. So when it comes to choosing curriculum based on your atmosphere, I definitely seek God first, ask Him to direct you. And then once you do have your vision and your kind of dream atmosphere written out, you're really going to have a much easier time choosing a curriculum, because you're going to easily say, okay, is this going to again add that peace or chaos into our home atmosphere? The last thing I wanted to mention, and this is something that I've started to implement this year as well, when it comes to choosing curriculum, is we can choose curriculum based off of what we want our atmosphere to be, based off of who we are as mamas. We can have all the right things in place when it comes to choosing a curriculum. But the final thing I will add is leaving room for grace, because there's always going to be seasons. As I said, we have everything online when choosing a curriculum, but it just might not work for one reason or another. It might stop working. You might have to change halfway through. And I'll always say this on my channel, but that's one of the beauties of homeschooling, is we're not bound to one curriculum, even though we might have chosen it to begin with because it aligned with all of our philosophies and what we wanted our home to look like. But for one reason or the other, as I mentioned, it just might not fit, and I think that's okay. So when choosing curriculum, do give yourself grace to switch it if it doesn't work. And a lot of times, at least in my personal experience, we've started something and it doesn't take long to realize something's not working. or if your little ones might just not enjoy it. And I think that's okay to switch it up if that's the case. Definitely always remember when choosing curriculum that this curriculum is really here and designed to serve our families, not the other way around. So if it is not serving you, and it might take you starting it for a few weeks or even a month to realize, you know what, I can't do this, and I think that's okay. So definitely allowing for growth and for grace as you're choosing curriculum and as you're starting it and as you start the new school year is definitely a thing that I'm trying to embrace more this year instead of being bound to like one different thing. I think what it all comes down to for me this year is at the end of the day, I want to choose curriculum that really supports our life and it doesn't compete with it. Like, I don't want to have so much curriculum in our home where I'm having to compete with curriculum to do all the other things. Like, is the homemaking, those slow living mornings with my children, the read aloud, so just living life together, going to be in competition with our curriculum? And to me, that's not what our homeschool is about. I am not, like, our homeschool is really not about curriculum. I think that's what this whole video is coming down to. It's really not about the fanciest, most incredible curriculum. It really is about that atmosphere. And so I don't want to compete with the curriculum. If our life has to compete with the curriculum, no thank you. I'm not going to choose it at all, because I just can't. I have other priorities, with my children being the top one in my relationship with them, and the slow living is a huge part of it, and so I can't compete with it. And if it's going to make me compete with just living simply with my children, I'm not going to do it. Anyways, I'm going to stop ranting about that and just say that if you guys are in the thick of planning for your homeschool year, I do hope this video encouraged you. I know it encourages my own heart when I talk about this, and I've made videos like this in the past. I think I make one every year actually when it comes to choosing homeschool curriculum. This year definitely was a little bit different for me because I really just put aside curriculum, if I'm being perfectly honest, and I'm just choosing things based off of atmosphere and our home vision, and not worry about it being the perfect curriculum, if that makes sense. So my kind of ideas and my thought process and the way my heart has shifted a little bit has been really big this year. And I think it's because this past homeschool year, so the 2020, what year are we in? Okay, the 2024-25 school year was a beautiful one because it was so simple. It was just a very minimalistic homeschool this year. We did McGuffey Readers, and I'll share the recap here too in my upcoming curriculum videos. McGuffey Readers for reading, CLE language arts, and then we jumped around with math a little bit, and that was it. That was all of our core curriculum. And when I say it was just an incredible experience of seeing how quickly my children grew, and especially language arts and reading skills, by using something so simple yet so sound. And when I think of like all the core curriculums out there, like we just did the basic 3, but seeing the fruit and the growth that has come from having a minimalistic homeschool, it's so beautiful. It really is beautiful. So this year I'm taking it a step farther and continuing going to do minimalistic type homeschooling. There are a few other things I am adding this year, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. But overall, my curriculum picks aren't really based off of the brightest and best curriculum, if that makes sense. Anyway, again, I hope this video did encourage you as you're planning for your homeschool year. My next video here, I'm going to be doing like a hits and misses, like a curriculum hits and misses type videos. I always feel like at the end of the video, I talk about all the other videos I want to do, and then sometimes I forget to do them, but I need to actually write it down. But as we are coming up in a very curriculum heavy season, we'll be talking about like a hits and misses, favorites, things like that. Anyway, I appreciate you guys being here and for watching today's video. Until my next one, you guys have a wonderful day, and God bless. Bye guys.